Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would do something a little bit different on a video today. I had a comment asking if I was going to update some of the older bases since I just released a new base over the weekend, and that got me thinking of something I kind of wanted to do for a while, and that is kind of like to go over different categories of creations and see how they play with modern day Reforged Eden. At least I'm not talking Reforged Eden 2, which is coming soon. And I do want to play with that as well. But I just wanted to kind of have a little reminiscent of the past here on the very first base I started and kind of the progression of bases throughout time. So with that being said, if you're interested in this, I'll look at all the numbers on these two just to see how they play now. Some of these were built a very, very long time ago for vanilla. A lot of these were built for vanilla, so a lot of them aren't going to probably look very nice anymore. And my styles have changed a lot too. So what we're looking at here, this is the very first base that I put to the workshop, and this was, I think, over 5 years ago, somewhere around that realm. And this is the Sanctuary ST. It was a starter base, or what I deemed as a starter base when I built it, at least. I just thought I'd take a look at it. But yeah, being a starter base, hold on, let me take a look at some numbers here. So this obviously doesn't play quite nice with Reforged Eden at the moment, but yeah, I remember the idea of this one was try to build a cheap base. I love having a landing pad, and this had a decent sized landing pad on it, and also was set up for some production and some farms. So all the basic stuff you'd normally want in a base. So I had a little bit of a constructor alley going on here. I like how these actually kind of line up in there now. And don't mind this, I didn't spawn everything exactly right on these bases here, but yeah, the very first base, the Sanctuary ST. This is predating all the new blocks, I believe custom colors, and the new storage controllers and everything. So it had a lot less features in here. In fact, when I built this, I don't believe it had a dedicated med bay. Maybe I'm wrong on that though. It's been a real long time, so I don't know. But yeah. The very first base. I'm just curious on how this came out stat-wise here. So this one's still cheap. It still is cheap. Unfortunately, it does not have any container controllers in it, but hour and 7 minute build time, doesn't use anything special with resources. Unlock level 5. So the numbers held up pretty good. The only side effect, well, a couple big side effects is it really has no storage controllers in here, and if it did, it would be more expensive. Adding all that into a build does ramp the price up from what it used to cost. Before, all you really needed to do is put in some boxes, and you're all set here. But yeah, so I think this one did just about everything I wanted it to at the time. If I could find my way through here somewhere, there is a farm. Is it over here? Yeah, here's the farm. My idea on the farm over here was a little flawed. I now realize too, because I got a ventilator in this room, but there's no floor in the room. But it is separated airtight from the inner base, so you got oxygen here. And until you put in grow plots over here, you don't have any oxygen. And that was kind of a flaw that I did here. I now realize, because with this running and this open, it's basically, I believe it's pumping oxygen right out of the base until you get grow plots in here. So, and this was coming to the point where it's like, yeah, a lot of people didn't want the grow plots in the base because you need to build those before you can spawn the base. And that can take a while, especially with a lot of grow plots. So, yeah, this was the first attempt at leaving grow plots out of a base. Anyway, this is still on the workshop, but it's pretty old. And, yeah, I didn't, all the little metally thingies, too. I had no idea what to do about that kind of stuff then, and I changed the way I build a lot. So after I built this base, shortly after that base, I built a bigger one, and this one was called the Sanctum installation, and this was my first attempt at like more of a hangar base. And I did kind of like this one, but it has the same problems as the Sanctuary. It's really, really super old and does not have the new storage systems in it, but I did like the idea that this one was running, I believe, 13 by 7 hangar doors in here, and just had a lot bigger hangar space for parking stuff. When I first started playing the game, I didn't have that many things to spawn in, but later on, it was just like more and more creations and more things, and some of the earlier HVs and stuff I was making were bigger than what they are now and needed a 11 by, or I'm sorry, a 13 by 7 hangar door to get those in here. Now this one's basically like a much bigger version of the Sanctuary. Has a lot bigger farm area too. Now this one was actually done better though, so you could add the grow plots, but the room remains airtight without the grow plots in place. So kind of like that idea. Also, on these older builds, too, there was no projector LCDs or anything at the time either. So all these, if you had an LCD, it was an old school LCD only. And obviously, I didn't, back at this time, had no idea about any of the LCD commands. Maybe they didn't even work at the time. I don't know, or maybe they just weren't discovered. But now, obviously, you can change the size and the color and add graphics and symbols and all kinds of stuff to LCDs that you could not do in the past. But yeah, so this one was the hardest part about this one was dealing with structural integrity. It had a big span going across here, and I think it worked out though, but it was you had to sink it in the ground a little bit, kind of like I'm doing it now. But yeah, let's just take a look at the numbers on this one too for the heck of it. So it's not 3 hour and 23 minute build time. This one was also trying to be pretty cheap. It was not using any of the rares at the time. Again, a vanilla build. This is this number here is kind of making me kind of happy though. So yeah, CPU wise, this thing seriously doesn't hardly use anything. I must have left a lot of parts out on this one when I built it. Obviously, it has places for turrets on these towers over here, and I think there's a place even for an artillery or just another turret on top of this this piece over here. Yeah, fun build. I remember liking this one. This is my first run-in with concrete, though. And concrete, obviously, you have the same texturing that you do now on concrete, and I didn't know how to texture it. Now, I've come up with better methods on the newer buildings to texture a concrete surface and try to keep it human-like. But at this point in time, too, I did not discover color either, so pretty much everything I made was gray. So the first two bases are gray. So the next base that I made, and the newest one that I just released, which I got sitting out here somewhere way over there, is kind of a new version of this one. This is the farpoint outpost. And this one was the first base I built after solar panels were added to the game. Now, solar panels were not in the game when these two were built. This one still did not have the new block shapes and the custom color palette or the storage controllers or anything like that. So, but I like this base. It worked. It was pretty simplistic. I did learn to seal off the farm areas so they remained airtight even if the farm blocks are out of it. But again, this one, I looked at this one to do an update, and I'm like, I'd probably be better off just starting over on it. The way this is set up, obviously, with cargo boxes, no storage controllers again. Now, I do believe another player did update this, and I think I have that as an optional link on the Farpoint Outpost post with a version that has storage controllers in it. Of course, when you add that kind of thing, it does ramp the price up on the creation. What I liked about this one, it was trying to be very cheap. Although I can see it's not playing very good with the CPU now. But yeah, this one was spawning in 55 minutes and 18 seconds and didn't need anything special at all. So it was, again, trying to be a really optimal base for playing the game. Wasn't trying to look real pretty or do anything like that. Just trying to be pretty optimal. So after this one was done, I don't think I had a phase where I didn't build any bases for a little bit. And then I came back probably a good year later and built this thing over here. This is the, oh God, what is it? What do I call this? It's the Waypoint station. That's it. So this one was bigger. It was supposed to be sitting on the ground. I spawned it really poorly here, but again, trying to incorporate solar. This one was just a larger base, and I was going a little bit more for interesting looks on it and not so much being a rectangle. So, but usually every time I would go through and add like more visuals and try to make it more interesting to look at, it's not as efficient. And this one had can be used obviously as a player base, and it does have all the stuff in it. Just take a quick walk through here a minute. But again, this is still predating storage controllers, so we just got cargo boxes and no controllers in the base. And due to its size, this one just had more room and some weird shaped parts to it and things like that. It did actually have a medical bay. I think that was fairly new when I built this base, if I remember correctly, and also repairing. I think that was a new feature that was added into. I don't. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Don't quote me on that. It's hard to remember exactly when all these updates took place. But this one had some fluff in it too, so quite a bit of fluff. This whole area over here, I really didn't know what to do with being a base itself, so I kind of made it kind of a loungy kind of thing. And it did also have a farm section, but this was a higher price base to start with, so I just put the grow plots in it stock. Yeah, just kind of a fun old time here. And then this also had this tower up here, and the tower was mainly just made for visual looks. So up in the tower, there really isn't much going on. I think it had a solar capacitor in one room, and I think the main core, stuff like that. But somewhere in here, I think there is there's like a crew quarter, sleeping area up on the top floor here. So yeah, fun base. So that was I was trying to get a little fancier though. Obviously, I was trying to really work on the visuals and the shape and the structure of it. So after that one was done, I had fun and I built a dedicated farm, the Waypoint farm. And this one I think needs a lot of fixer uppers. I think a lot of blocks were I don't know, maybe I did update it though. Throughout time too, when you built a lot of these bases, some of the blocks changed physically. So you might have placed them where they were rotated at one angle, and then after an update later on, some blocks, not many, but some blocks would be rotated, say, the wrong way, or the texture surface would be on the other side. There were some updates to blocks in that area. So this one looks like it's still. Let's see what the numbers are on the Waypoint farm. I am curious. So 2-hour build time. So this one, again, was trying to be pretty cheap, but this one does include all its grow plots at 180 grow plots in here. So that would take a little bit to build 180 grow plots before you can spawn in this creation. It did have a lot of fuel and O2, and it did have solar on it as well. But I was pretty happy with this base when it's not really a base, just a dedicated farming thing. It has a center section here where it has all your food processors and fridges and other utility stuff, and that's pretty much it. Just a big farm. Again, a little bit updated LCDs. Again, before there was projector LCDs. So yeah. One last thing, I just want to look at the CPU on this one. So yeah, CPU-wise, this thing is working really well. Farming obviously does not take much CPU, especially when you don't have any storage controllers in it. And again, this was predating storage controllers. So the next creation here, I think this one was built after storage controllers were added to the game, and this is I wanted a big one here. This is the Waypoint hangar. So I had this whole Waypoint series going on here. I started with that one, and then this one, and then this one. This one I liked it, but it had a serious flaw that I had to patch it, and it really sucked. Essentially, I played with the idea of recessing the hangar floor on this one, and I really liked it because you could get a lot of extra little detail into the creation on the hangar floor trim on the side, like a half block up, because these are all half blocks down here. The problem is originally it was all flat going across here, and I had the repair base sunk down in, but it was a half block below where the surface was, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. You could bring over a creation on it and it would not repair it. So I had to patch this, unfortunately, which really kind of screwed it up. And I built this mound in the middle here, so I could get the repair bay at the same level. And that was the only way it would work. Now I have heard, but have not tested yet, that you can have the repair bay sunk in like a full block and still have it repair something above there. So it's possible that this base here, or this hangar, could be fixed up. Now something else that was new in this one besides storage controllers was it also had furnaces, and I think those were brought into the game at one point in time too. So this actually does have a couple furnaces in it as well. And I believe this actually, wrong button, sorry. Let me look at the storage here. I didn't know how to label any of these, so. Oh yeah, look at that, I was off. Oh man, look at my storage numbers. They're just wacky. I was way off on these. It would only go to 320, and I'm a real stickler now on making things come out exactly 320 without wasting, and it looks like I wasted a few container extensions on this base because it's exceeding 320 on those. So didn't realize that. Let's take a look at some numbers on this one. So this was obviously more expensive. 6 hours and 17 minutes. Does use a little bit of estrium and zacosium. It does. Oh, it's probably it's got missile turrets on here and a lot more defense as well. So that's probably why the cost is up and the resource count is up a little bit. But did unlock at player level 12. Just three 320k storage bays. CPU wise, I don't even know what's going on here. This was for vanilla. I believe it was. I don't know. I don't know what it's doing for cores and stuff. I don't even know how this is playing out. There was an in-between time of CPU too, and I think this might have been built during there, or something. I don't get it. It's I would have. The CPU numbers are really far off, but I think maybe CPU just wasn't in the game at this time, or I don't know. I don't know honestly, but yeah, it seems to be pretty far off. Be kind of a neat base to update. I'm kind of looking at some of these and trying to evaluate if they still work, if they could be fixed up and operational again. This one probably could be. You know, I believe I could reflat the floor over here, put the repair bay where it's supposed to, and adjust the CPU numbers on here to have this come out. But right now it's kind of I don't know where it really fits. It's kind of a mess where it's fitting into the grand scheme of things. Well, I'm seeing a flaw too with my glass here. Oh yeah, look at that. I don't think I learned this trick too. Like these windows here are this one's tinted different than those ones. I'm gonna fix that. So yeah, I could have fixed that, but I don't think at the time I literally knew how to do that, or maybe on one side, or maybe I just missed it. I don't know. It was a while after I started building to when I learned that you could change the tinting on the glass to have it all match, depending on which way you want to rotate it. So anyway, Waypoint hangar. So after this, probably the biggest ground base that I built, I made a couple accessory pieces, I believe, and that was this little guy over here, which was supposedly a solar-powered storage bay. Now, there's some block problems with the game right now as I'm looking at it. There's some missing surfaces. That shouldn't be that way. It should look like the other side here. But this one, I believe, was two 320k storage bays, a Wi-Fi unit, and solar power. You see, at the time when I built this, I don't know if it was true or not, but I believe that when you had like a Wi-Fi storage controller like this, that it had to have power. And that's why it has a solar panels on it. I'm not sure if I put in anything else in here. And yeah, it does have your cargo extensions over there. And again, I just try to make this look like a base area accessory to fit with the other, like the Waypoint bases and stuff like that. And then at the same time, or right around the same time too, I just built this standalone defense tower, basically. A bunch of turrets hanging off from a little tower with a couple solar panels on it as well. You'd stick around like this area. It's all kind of part of a theme. Yeah, fun. I didn't really look at the numbers on these. I guess I don't care that much, but yeah, this doesn't play good with Reforged Eden either. But a lot of these aren't going to because they weren't made for Reforged Eden to start with. This one has no issues because it doesn't really do anything, just holding some storage. I think the numbers came out appropriately on vanilla, where they're not in Reforged Eden. So the next one that was built throughout time, I believe, was the Waypoint. I might have some of the order wrong on this. The Waypoint compound, I think, was the newest of the Waypoint line of like human base creations that I was making. This one, there was a discovery that you could use old LCDs to project LCD stuff around. It was tricky. It was a pain in the butt, but I thought the effects were really cool. So this one was built also a lot like the latest base that I put out. And the idea of this one was to have turrets that were on the outer edges of the base so they could shoot and protect the base from close range attacks. And this even had like a backup of a couple sentry guns in the ceiling over here in case anybody tried to shoot at the turret itself or maybe got into a weird little situation where the turrets couldn't shoot at them. This one was trying to be safe. I believe this was also using a better hull material than the other ones. I think this was, let me get to the, yeah, armored concrete. So yeah, really high hit point blocks on this one. And then obviously integration of solar panels. This one was newer, so not that much different than the latest base that I actually just built. I'm trying to, sorry about that. I'm hitting the wrong F keys here. I'm trying to put away a gun and I'm hitting like F numbers and it's not working out. I'm trying to talk and do things at the same time. It's a little troubling for me sometimes. So yeah, repair console, yeah, set up for this. This is my first attempt at projecting LCDs. Before there were projector LCDs in the game. And don't mind the color of all these. These pieces are totally different looking than what they were when I built the base, and different colors too. They weren't supposed to be red like that. But, oh, come on. Ooh, there we go. So yeah, if I remember correctly, there's a big LCD up over here, and taking a look at the LCD, it's so weird. It's like the size is set to this. Oh no, the size. Oh yeah, this is first learning that you could put in some commands, and the only command I knew, I think, was size, and and I think you could put in symbols at this point in time too. They did add that insert font symbol. So yeah, that's kind of what was going on here. It set the size to 425. It prints this out, and this goes beyond the capacity of the actual LCD and would project that down over here. Now, shortly after this one was made, probably a couple months after that, in an update in the main game, they did add projector LCDs. So this became a thing of the past almost instantaneously. But yeah, this was probably the most updated old base that I've had out of the Waypoint series. Let's take a look at the numbers. Not going to play good with Reforged Eden, I don't think. So this one had a 4-hour and 38-minute build time. A lot of that had to do with its heavier hull material. It was built sort of cheaply, but it was using the armored concrete blocks. And this one obviously needs some CPU help as well. So not playing good there at all. I believe it did it worked in vanilla. And for some reason, this, I believe, should have 4 advanced CPU cores in it, I think. Or maybe this was... there was another time when there was a different setup as well with the CPU function and everything like that. So there's, yeah, just a lot of these were built at weird times when the game was in constant transition and things like that. So yeah, Waypoint compound. Again, yeah, like the CPU numbers are pretty far off on a lot of these, so I won't recommend using them necessarily in today's gameplay. That's kind of why I wanted to build a new base, because I wanted a replacement for that one. I thought that one was pretty efficient, but I like the idea of a pass-through hangar like the farpoint, and that's when I ended up with a new one. So after that, I went to try to build more of a smaller solar-powered starter base here, and this is the Waypoint abode. No, what is this one? Let me get the HUD on. Yeah, no, I got it right. Waypoint abode. And this one was kind of a fun base. It obviously has a lot of solar panels, trying to be efficient. Using the solar panels as a ramp up to the landing pad. Does have a way down into the base there. Was also trying to make it sort of pretty, a little like feet and stuff on it. Go inside here. Yeah, this was kind of a one-room setup here. So you had a 36 grow plot farm. You had your a smaller production alley, a couple 320k storage bays, ammo box, and this had some other feature though. Where was that? Maybe on the other side? I'm lost. Maybe off the back? Maybe it's off the back. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so how this one was set up is I left this back area kind of open and had this, like, it's not closed off. It's not airtight back here, but this was meant to go over water. So if you were to spawn this right on the beach, you could put in your, like, water collectors and, you know, the different machinery you put in the water in this area and just be able to walk right out of the base and access it. So this was actually meant to be more of a beach base. So, yeah, anyway, what are the numbers on this one? So pretty cheap build time on this. Hour and 16 minute. Yeah, it doesn't use anything rare. CPU, I'm sure, is off like most of them. Yeah, CPU is off going over in Reforged Eden. Looks like it would probably need a basic CPU core. I think your minimum, you start out with no cores, is 80,000 on a base. I hope that's right. Could be wrong. If it is wrong, let me know. But yeah, 115. So it could be made to work pretty good. Just kind of evaluating, trying to figure out which bases could be usable, and if they were, how much work would they need. Now this one, I think all it needs is a basic CPU core, and it's good to go. Has a little bit different styling in here too. I was playing around with some wood textures, and that's what this texture is over here. I kind of actually like that particular texture for certain things. And then it also has concrete in it and wood, and I was trying to play around with some of the different concrete textures, try to fit it into this theme. Well, anyway, okay, so after that, let's see, then we went over to a really small solar one here, and this is was a brief series that I did, the Frontier series, and actually I think I did these a little bit later on. They probably came after the Creels. So what we got here is the Frontier ST. This was, again, designed to be a starter base. And it looks like, oh, this one actually I think was built for Reforged Eden. You can see the numbers are coming out good here, actually. So this unlocked level 7, 51 minute and 28 second build time. No rares. Now this one is not a tough base at all. It's, I believe, it was using solar panels for its ceiling. So obviously these don't have a lot of hit points, and it only has 2 defense turrets on it. But again, cheap base, couple constructors, couple storage bays, plus an ammo box. Again, on a lot of these bases, I would use the ammo box instead of a controller, because honestly, usually the turrets that I put on these things are like cannon or minigun. The ammo is really lightweight, and you can put a lot in one of these boxes, which is a lot cheaper to do than have a individual controller system for ammo, especially when you really don't need much ammo on one of these. So yeah, Wi-Fi. Looks like everything's in here. A couple small constructors as well. Yeah, I would actually give this one a bill of approval. I think this one actually still works for a cheap, again, not a tough starter base, with the only 2 retractable cannon turrets on here. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen drone attacks that would compromise something like this. So, if you're at a fairly, it's not too hostile around, or you have other defenses, and that's why I built this one too, because this is pretty vulnerable to attacks. There's no shielding or anything like that. And solar panels, I think, like these ones up here, they got 150 hit points. So, you know, if a drone was shooting at this turret, it would probably blow up a solar panel, and then you would have an air leak. If you had farms going on, oh, this one didn't do farming. Okay, well, no worry there. But other than that, I kind of like this base. I might actually try to use this one in a future playthrough if I'm looking for a cheap starter base that would get me going. But then I built these little defense thingies over here. that you could spawn in and put it somewhere in the area of the base to help protect it. Keep the drones attacking these rather than the base itself. So this was the Frontier PDT, or Point Defense Turret, is what this meant. Just take a look at the numbers on this one too. These are pretty inexpensive, 20 minutes, 42 seconds, no rares, solar operated. All they need is ammo. And I think there was a, I don't know if there was, I don't think you could see the ammo. You had to actually Wi-Fi the ammo into the box on this one. I had no walk up to it and put in the ammo kind of thing. So, yeah, throughout time, after a while, I eventually started on Creel. So I started out building this base and that Creel Overseer capital ship, and I think both were kind of being built around the same time. So this was the Creel Ari, and kind of a this one again was trying to do two things. One, I wanted it to look kind of exotic, but also I wanted to support the rectangle. What I mean by support the rectangle is the rectangles typically are going to give you the most amount of room for cost. So I was trying to do both things with this one, have like a big rectangle in here, but also really freak it out to make it Creel-like. So this one here, it's a pretty big hangar-style base, a pass-through hangar. The hangar area inside is decent as well. Does have constructor alley in here. Storage controllers. Okay, so storage controllers were introduced when this one was built as well. Deconstructors, too. That was something new, I believe, when this one was built. Again, a very long time ago. This was, I think this was before there were projector LCDs, and this was another attempt at projecting an LCD. I believe somewhere up above here there's probably some traditional LCD that's making that happen there. Yeah, fun base here. And I think it's got all the stuff in it too. This was a more expensive one though, so it would do repairing and had a flight deck up top and more rooms around. Again, a lot of these rooms are kind of wasted. I didn't really have anything to put in them, so you might get up here and it's just kind of a room, you know. Not really too much going on there. Maybe a Wi-Fi unit, but a lot of wasted space probably in the base because it was trying to be more exotic. And obviously you can really tell that with its build time, 12 hour and 49 minute build time on this one. And it, yeah, doesn't play nice at all with the CPU currently. There might have been an update by another author as well on this one. I'm trying to remember. There's been a lot of people have sent me over time like fixed up versions of things, and usually what I'll do is link those to a blueprint, existing blueprint as like a modded alternative version. But yeah, first attempt at a Creel base here. I've got this, I didn't build a lot of Creel bases, I really did. So the only other one I've got, which is made after that one a little bit, is this small one here. And this was the, what is it called again? Creel Insula. And this was trying to be a cheap, low-cost starter base, embracing concrete again as a construction material. Now this one was trying to be exotic. On the inside, it did obviously has no hangar or anything like that. It does have, looks like, one constructor in place, a spot for another one, some basic utility around here. No farming? Or did it have farming? Let me go upstairs. Oh, it's got farming, just not very much. So you got nine grow plots for a farm and that. So yeah, just a cheap Creel, like little personal base kind of thing. And yeah, it was supposed to be cheap too. So that's where this one excels. Here is on its build time at 46 minutes and 8 seconds. 4 cannon turrets. So having 4 cannon turrets, it's probably okay defense on the drone attacks that I've seen. I think that would normally handle those. It's possible a drone could get a hit in somewhere with that. And it does play nice with CPU and Reforged Eden too. So this one actually kind of has a bill of approval if you're looking for that kind of thing right now. So that's out of all the things I'm looking at. Literally, I think the only ones that are really playing nice are the this one so far. I think these two are playing good, and this one's playing good, and this one's not at all really, unless you really want to throw in a lot of CPU. If you add a lot of CPU to it, then yeah, it could work still. It's just a weird base. A weird base. So then after that, I was branching out into other factions and ideas. I'm not sure if I did this first or I think I did the Scar before the MCRN, but we'll look at the MCRN. So the MCRN got like 3 base style things. And the main building here was this guy, which is the MCRN Nest HMC, which means something. It's on the blueprint description. I forget what it means. It's like, I don't know what that means. But anyway, this one I kind of liked. I think we used this one in a playthrough at one point in time as well. So a little bit larger hangar style base. Again, a hangar going through both sides. I believe the bigger size hangar doors too. The 13 by 7 hangar doors. So you could get in larger HVs and SVs or any CVs that could fit in there. So yeah, this one you had places for the constructors, had the medical bay. This is I think when I first started playing around with like facings a little bit more on builds. Like I really liked how this looked, even though it was pretty simplistic. But it has like a facing, like you're walking up to a store in a mall or something like that. And I kind of like that idea. And this one could take in like a bunch of different parts, but it did not have any defense on its own. But you could put it in shield, pentaxa tank, upstairs that had a larger farm section too. I think this is is this a 54 or no? This is a 36. This is a 72 grow plot farm area, and a little bit of fluff in here too. A couple balconies. I was having fun with the build design on this one. Now this one was changing the idea around on a couple things though. One, the whole thing's built out of carbon substrate. It was trying to keep the price down. And two, and maybe this is a good idea to this date. I haven't done it in a while. But what's going on here is this is a little box that's kind of, if it's placed on the ground, this won't be floating in the air. But this actually contains the core. So if drones came by and wanted to blow up your base, rather than them shooting at your base itself and hurting it, they could shoot at this little thing over here and blow this up, which was easily fixable. And then you could get the base going again without taking damage to the main base. Because, again, it is built out of carbon. I think the only thing that's not built out of carbon is this little, the blocks around where the CPU core is. So that was just a little bit different thinking idea. Now this one, because it was completely undefended with no turrets on it at all, I built this this turret, or this point defense, I think I called it the MCRN point defense. Point defense T1. To this date, I think for this type of thing, I haven't built a lot of point defense guns, but I got, I think, 4 different ones. This is, I think, the best one that I've made. This setup here worked out really well for defending, and part of that is because of its flat design and the fact that you can sink it into the ground, and that actually puts its main components, if you sink it into the ground right, kind of below the ground, really giving it a lot of protection. Plus it also has solar, and you have the ability to put on, I believe, God, what did this hold? Up to 10 turrets on here. So you've got these 2 that could shoot directly above it, and then these obviously will give you your more 360 degree approach, and then you could actually add in another set of turrets if you felt you needed more. So yeah, this one, see how the numbers, oh darn it, I was hoping the numbers were going to come out right. Oh, I'm disappointed now. So this doesn't play quite right with Reforged Eden, and it's lacking on CPU. I believe that could be fixed if a couple turrets were removed off from it or a CPU block was added in. This was a little bit more expensive though, 51 minutes and 36 seconds on this one. Did have fuel tanks in there as well as a real generator, but it was trying to offset that power with the 4 large solar panels that are in it to keep this operational. So yeah, I still think this is my best defense turret, but it was a little more pricey than some of the other ones for sure. So after that, I went over to another faction, and this is the Scar basing, or Scar base stuff. So the first base I built for Scar was the Crawler, and this one I had a lot of fun with because I obviously trying to make it look like it was sitting on tracks, and this actually what inspired the tracks to go on to the Megalodon, which is a lot more recent than this. I like this. In fact, I stole the tracks out of here. I had to make them drastically different for the Megalodon, a lot bigger. But yeah, this kind of was the idea of that in the first place. This one, I'll take a look at the specs. This was a more of a later game kind of base design again. Not super cheap, but a little more capable. For whatever reason, I didn't go with really large storage controllers, at least on some of these. So I'm looking at these and they're like 40 or 64K. Not sure what. Oh, these over here are a little bigger again, 200K on that side. And it had some more. It had more storage in it, but I think it looks like 200K were the bigger controllers that I put in here. It also had places for furnaces, so a couple furnaces in the mix. And if I remember correctly, this had some fluff in it too. It just had extra room like up here. I really didn't know what to do with, so made some little rooms. The thing that I thought was the neatest feature, not for function, but for fun factor and being an author trying to make things, is the transition between how this was done here. There's like the front building, and if you notice all the blockwork between the front half and the back half, it's kind of like I try to make it look like they were connected together, like this was a separate piece, this was a separate piece, and then they were like welded together. So it's got this weird gap between the two, and there's actually literally a stairway that goes outside briefly from one side to the other, up into the farm section on this base. So that was fun. That was just a weird thing. Yeah, I always kind of like this one though. Looks wise, again, because it's trying to be more exotic and everything, and it's got a lot of turrets on here too. It's probably not the most efficient base for gameplay at all. As you can tell by the price again, almost 8-hour build time. Does have more guns and stuff. Does have a farm. It still works well, except for the CPU. Again, probably this is a vanilla base. I believe it's running 4 advanced CPU cores, which it played nice when it was built at that level. But I don't know if it does even in vanilla right now. Yeah. Anyway, next one here. Right around there, I built another defense tower. This one I kind of like too. I was trying to go for that kind of something you might see in Star Wars kind of thing, like some rundown, weird base tower thing. So I like some of the block work on it. Again, because of the more bizarre shape of this one, it's going to cost a little bit more for its function. It does have a bit of interior on this one too. Not much, so I think I did allow you to actually climb up inside of this one, and not that there's anything here, but it does have a solar capacitor and some air tanks and stuff like that. It does have a ammo controller in here somewhere too, and the core is down kind of in the middle section there. But yeah, just another little defense tower. So yeah, beyond that, the defense tower, here's another storage thing. This was a lot like that other storage, that Waypoint thing I had over there with just a solar storage. This is another variation. This one I decided to stack the storage, and I think it was running 3 200K, yeah, on here, and then solar panels. Pretty lightweight, inexpensive build, I do believe, and I'm positive this will work with CPU now. So yeah, 24 and 50 second, or 24 minute and 50 second build time. Very small. I don't think it needs anything special. So this is a good viable creation right now too. If you're looking for some extra storage you could place around a base, and that's really all it is. You can Wi-Fi stuff into it and whatnot. So this one here was trying to be a starter base again. This is the, what did I call this one? The Scar Pilgrim T1. I did use this in a playthrough before now too. So basically the idea of this one was it had an independent solar panel landing pad on the top of it, but it is sealed underneath it to make it a little bit tougher. Try to look nice. It does have areas for 36 grow plots that you can add in if you remove these, and then you've got your little bit of production in here. A couple constructors, some boxes. I know this is going to have storage controller too. Or does it? I don't even see one. Oh. Did I build a base without a storage controller? No way. Hold on. I did. Yeah, this one has no storage controllers in it. Okay. Okay, so its thing, I bet you, is about price. Yep, that's its deal. So yeah, just a little under hour build time, no rares. But again, not a lot of storage in this base because of the lack of controllers. You pretty much have to use boxes instead. But a really cheap, pretty quick and cheap startup time on this one, and it does come with a couple. I'm not even sure. I bet you these aren't advanced constructors. Yeah, they're just regular constructors on here. Plus all your other little stuff. I don't believe it had a medical bay either. But yeah, it has some defense. It actually had quite a few turrets on this one. So I think this is running, what, 8 turrets? And it covers most of the base. I think the only place that would be vulnerable if something, an enemy got up in this area, I don't think those turrets could bend over and shoot anything right here, and there's nothing up above that could shoot them. And that's kind of why I like the newer base, the turrets overhang more, but it's a very similar idea to what this one was as well. So after that, after the Scar, it goes now to the Imperial, which is probably the newest new faction that I made. And they're kind of a off take from the human, a little bit different texturing and coloring, but similar to that of the humans. Star Wars inspired again, so are the Scar. I mean, the Scar is kind of a blend of Star Wars and like Mad Max kind of thing. It was fun. So this one here is a starter base as well. A pretty flimsy one because it's using solar panels for its roof again and a lot of glass on it. I know this was just meant to be cheap in a fairly safe zone, but this one's definitely a lot newer than those other bases. You can see even some of the new LCDs here. I'm just trying to recap on how this one is. I hope this plays good yet. That would be nice. I like this feature here too, where I buried solar capacitor, core, and generator kind of in the floor, far enough away from the player so you don't get fried by the generator. And it kind of keeps it kind of safe in the middle. Obviously, if the drones are going to want to blow you up, they're going to just blast right through the ceiling and probably mess up all these solar panels and things. But yeah, this was a pretty simplistic base. Was it got just one storage controller in here? Let me look at the numbers here. Oh, gosh darn it! Sorry, I hit the wrong button again. I tend to do that. So it's got an ammo box. Yeah, one 320K controller and a couple other boxes on the side. Regular ammo box. Some more boxes. Yeah. So yeah, a constructor, a storage bay, and the essentials. Oh, and it did have a place to add in all the different medical pieces. I didn't put it in because I believe it would either add to the resource costs or the level unlock. So this one, 40-minute, almost 40-minute even build time, 3 retractable minigun turrets. Doesn't use anything special with its build. It uses more variety, but it's all very, very simple stuff. Unlock level 7. So this one's a legit like starter base too. If you're not looking for anything tough, I mean, again, it's vulnerable if you get a good nasty drone attack on you, and these guns fail to take out the drones before they get some shots off, because it won't take much to blow up the solar panels. And I don't even believe this is armored glass on here. I think this is just standard glass. Alright, so that covers that one. So then this one was fairly recent too. This takes a little bit of flat land, and obviously I didn't have very good flat land where I placed it here, but the palisade, the Imperial palisade base, so a larger base, again kind of like the other factions. A lot of them got like a bigger one and then a smaller one. This is their bigger one. So kind of another hangar base design, a bit of a pass-through, but kind of a small door on the other side here. This one was more capable though, and you could get more storage in it. This is going to be a Reforged Eden only because it is using 640K storage bays. But yeah, pretty good sized hangar. You can park stuff all over the place. It looks like I put the repair bay offset over here so you could have something kind of parked in this area and keep the center of the hangar open for moving vehicles around and things like that. Also, it had other floors in it, and this is where this base got weird due to its funky shape and pattern. It had several really big farm in this one. So you got this floor of the farm, same idea with the grow plots, almost the same formation that I've done on the other base that I just made. And then another row up here, and then even another row up here. So this one had quite a large farm section on it. You could also add in a shield, and you got places for all your advanced CPU cores, improved CPU cores, all that fun stuff, if you can add in more parts to it. So just a larger base. Pretty fun one. I like this one quite a bit. Haven't used it in any kind of gameplay or anything like that, but again, I think it's because of its shape, trying to be unique. I think it's going to suffer a little bit from that. This one also goes past the vanilla solar panel count, so this is going to be a dedicated Reforged Eden build only. It does have more turret positions on here too. So this one's unlock level 6, or I'm sorry, size class 6, unlock level 10. 6 hours and 43-minute build time. 4 minigun turret stock. Obviously, I had room for a heck of a lot of farms. It does play nice with CPU on it, so this one is legit too. But again, one of the newest ones that I made. And then finally, this new farpoint one here. Basically, this one was trying to take the features that I like best on past bases, function features, not looks features, like a lot of the idea behind the Waypoint compound, not to be confused with the farpoint compound. So that like the turret setup over here, and the even going back to the original farpoint base on the pass-through hangar idea, and then of course a farming section. So this one is. I'm hoping it's for a function base. I'm hoping this is the best one to date, at least for overall function. This one, it has a decent amount of, landing space on top. It's had a all right size hangar. It's not, super big or anything like that. You could put in up to 6 constructors or deconstructors, 2 furnaces. You could put in a shield, or if you don't care about a shield, you could put in a 3rd furnace. In the same slot there. Full medical bay, a lot of upgrade parts and things like that. And if you're curious on how this back area was finished off, obviously this is kind of like a weird space zone. I didn't exactly know what to do with it. Someone made mention that it would be nice if it had like a little room in it for beds. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's put in a couple of those, even though a little TV over there. And then it kind of goes into this industrial section, a weird core display here. This ladder is weird here too. This goes up to a like another level over here, and you kind of can walk through here, look at some solar capacitors, a bunch of fuel tanks, oxygen tanks, places for basic and advanced CPU core there, and then over here more places, 3 more places for advanced CPU cores to bring it up to 4 total. I don't know what I was even thinking when I did this little chunk here. I don't know, I had this open room. I really had nothing to put in it. I didn't want to make it into like a little lounge or something, so I just put some strange block formation here above the air tanks for no particular reason. But really all the room's for is to hold CPU cores. So, yeah. Anyway, that is, so that's the newest one. So, yeah, the evolution and building history of all the player land bases that I've made. There's one last thing I forgot to show in here. I spawned it in somewhere, and it was this was made to I don't know, mock certain Excalibur a little bit here. He is a stickler. He likes things as small as can be. So this is a little base that I never released this, but this is a little base I kind of mockingly made for him, but it actually could work, I suppose. So this is trying to be super, super small and compact and be like some kind of functional base. So in here, it's obviously very tight. You walk in, you've got like armor locker, you even got a bed, storage controller. There's your O2. It's got an ATM, small constructor, Wi-Fi, medical bay, fridge, boxes, O2, armor repair. Um, yeah, food processor. But yeah, you just pretty much sit in this little thingy here, and it was ultra compressed base. I couldn't quite fit everything. I had to fit a generator in somewhere, so it's got this little outbox over here, kind of like something that holds pool equipment or something like that, and a single turret on the roof. So yeah, ultra cheap. Well, ultra small. CPU wise, it's pretty light too on that. 14-minute, 48-second build time on this one. Complete experimental base that can about the smallest I could come up with being a base. And so yeah. Anyway, I thought this was kind of fun. So takeaways from it. I've out of all these creations, there's only a handful that are playing nice with modern Reforged Eden, and not Reforged Eden 2. Obviously, the newest one. I think the farm works. I think the farm works yet. None of these guys I would recommend because they're too obsolete, too out of date with storage controllers. So yeah, Waypoint, the Waypoint farm works. This compound. Let me just look at the numbers here again. I think this one blows the CPU up. Yeah, this one blows the CPU up. I thought it was a pretty decent base, but I also would kind of consider the new farpoint compound as opposed to the Waypoint compound. That one's just going to be better, but it's newer, it's more up to date, and it has a lot of similarities to this other one over here. Really does. This one works. This one I kind of like. This is the Waypoint abode. Oh well, not entirely. This one needs a little more CPU, but this one for kind of a flimsy starter base, not so bad. It had its protection. It had the idea of putting it near the beach. Which I thought was kind of fun. This one did work too for a super cheap starter base. This is the, I'll just keep the HUD on for a sec here. The Frontier ST and the Frontier PDT, point and defense turret again. This one totally doesn't really work. This one could, but some of these other bases for their cost do more things. So this wouldn't be my first choice in a base either. This thing, God, did I even look at the numbers on this one? Yeah, this one does work. So yeah, this was a pretty good functional base. Again, super flimsy. Not meant to go in a hostile area unless you surround it with probably multiple defense turrets of some origin. But this one actually had quite a bit of room in it, quite a bit of landing pad, a decent hangar, a lot of part upgrade options, and a pretty decent farm in it. So you know, if you're looking for a mid-level or larger base, this one still works. So that's kind of cool. This one was a little funky. It doesn't really work. So yeah, oh, the poor crawler. Man, I don't know. I don't know what to do with some of these. This one I believe worked too. The Scar Pilgrim. No, not on CPU. Oh my god. Yeah. All right, so this one I know, the Terra ISB, the Frontier ST, sort of that one, and the Palisade's going to work, of course, if you want something bigger and more expensive, and then the farpoint. So the farpoint, final specs on this one, it had extra CPU. I put in two advanced CPU cores, or I'm sorry, two improved CPU cores only on this one, specifically for the dual compatibility between vanilla and Reforged Eden. So both Reforged Eden and the vanilla CPU are in check stock. So I was happy about that, being able to hit them both. This one also limits the amount of solar panels on it to 14, so it does not exceed the 15 limit that vanilla can do. But yeah, I think out of all of them, this one for a function base and not trying to be pretty, this one I think is probably the best base I've got right now for this size base. And if I was going to go with a smaller base, I might look at something super cheap like this one, or this one over here for if you're looking for a cheap starter base that's not very tough. Anyway, yeah, this was fun. I kind of got an idea now on what I've actually got, and kind of the evolution of all the different bases that were built. There's only one or two that I might want to update, though, and that would I'm kind of looking at the Waypoint hangar a little bit here. This one, I think, with some tender loving care, could work as intended now, but I'd have to test that. I might play around with this one and try to get that working yet. But yeah, so efficient base designs. I might, if you guys like this video, let me know. I've got a lot of creations over time. I could go over other categories too. This was just picking one specific category of workshop builds, player ground base only. So, and there's this many selections, and I've got other types of creations that have far more than this yet, too. So, anyway, that's all I've got for today. I just kind of wanted to have a little fun with this video and do something a little bit different than I don't normally do. But now I kind of feel like I learned a little bit myself by going over this. I basically, I didn't have the... I thought about like looking at this before, but I was like, I guess I didn't have enough motivation really to do it. So I figured maybe if I did it in a video, it would be a little more encouraging or something like that. But yeah, bases. Anyway, yeah, guys, on base design, it depends what you're into. Kind of the a rule sort of stands, especially for bases and a lot of other creations in the game. The closer they are to the rectangle, the more interior space versus cost you're going to get out of it. Problem is, not very visually stimulating, building lots of rectangles. Most of these bases are definitely a form of rectangle. And the furthest I go off from that rectangle form, usually the less efficient they are, usually. Like this here is not as efficient as some of the other ones, but, it's more of a visual thing. Anyway, y'all have yourself a great day, and I'll talk to you later.